Hey everybody, it's Mark Masters. It's Always Bookin Comedy. Another Monday night. We got JD Creviston here. JD Creviston out of Los Angeles area, runs the Clean Comedy podcast. We've crossed paths a few times in our comedy career. I've been on the Clean Comedy podcast. JD just had me as a guest at a comedy show in Denver. Very cool venue. I'd never been to. Was really nice. And we don't have much time, and I got a million questions for you. So let's get into it. Well, what I think is most fascinating about JD recently, he's on tour with a national headliner. He's like a support act in every sense of the word, it sounds like. And I just want to hear about that. Let's start with like, how did that come to pass?
So with Zane, the headliner is Zane Lamprey. So what happened was Zane put out on his Instagram, he was looking for someone in Los Angeles that didn't drink and that had been doing comedy a while and could get recommendations from other comedians in LA to come tour with him. And I was like, oh, okay. I saw it. I actually watched it and I was like, that sounds awesome. And then I was like, he won't pick me. So I was telling my wife about it. I said, oh, this happened. It's cool. And she goes, you should apply. And I go, he's not going to pick me. She's like, well, if you apply and he doesn't pick you, you didn't lose anything. I'm like, all right, fair enough. So I apply. I get a message back from his assistant, Amanda, who says, hey, Zane would love to jump on a call with you, talk to you, whatever. So I talked to Zane. Went great. The call went great. And he called a couple of comedians around LA that knew me. And all of them vouched for me and said, hey, he's great. He does a good job. I know he does this. He runs this show. He's run this show. He's booked these people. So he knows what's going on. He would be great. And so they all vouched for me. The big vouch was Greg Romero. So thank you, Greg Romero Wilson, for vouching for me. I appreciate it. So he was the big vouch. And then Zane was like, hey, all right, let's do a test run. I have a show in San Diego, Temecula. Come down, help me set up, which is what we do. We set up cameras, we set up lights, we set up all the audio gear. We do all these things, set up a merch table. We have a ticket list. I mean, we set up an entire show in a brewery. So I did that. It went well. We had a good time. And then he's like, I thought it went well. You seem like you enjoyed it. Would you like to come on the road with me? And I was like, yeah. He's like, it's going to be like 140 shows. And wow. And it's been a lot of shows. I'm actually looking for it. We have a show. We leave on Thursday to go to Ohio, Indiana, and Pennsylvania for 10 days. So we'll be there. And then we come back and we're off for most of July. And then I'm going to San Francisco for a week in July. And I'm going to go to Grand Cayman for 10 days with my family just to kind of recharge and get out of LA, get out of the area, just kind of like think about something else. Think about like snorkeling or scuba diving or anything but comedy for a little bit. And then we go back out on the road in August. So it's been busy.
How many shows have you done so far?
You know what? Roughly. I didn't count, but I'm going to say about 80 or so at least.
Okay. So you're past the halfway mark.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So you found out on Instagram, you say, yeah, I'm interested. You do that test show, you set up all the sound, or he shows you how to set, how he likes.
We do it together and stuff. Yeah.
Set up. And then, so how is it different now, 80 shows in? Can you do it all on your own?
Oh, I 100% do it all on my own. I 100%. He'll come and do, so what he'll do is he'll set up all the chairs. He's very particular about how setting up chairs are. You've been to that show. You went to a show in the brewery. So we lay pallets out, 2 pallets, and then he builds the chairs around the pallets. And while he's doing all that, I'm running all the cables for all the audio gear. I'm running all the power lines. I'm running backlights. So we have lights that light up the back. We have 2 side lights that light up the front. We have audio recording gear. We have 2 cameras, Blackmagic cameras.
So let's talk about audio real quick. What are you getting? Like 2 mics on the audience and the stage mic, or
1 mic on the audience and the stage mic. And then from the cameras, we get additional audio. And one of the cameras, the side shot, has a mic as well that picks up audience laughter and stuff as well. So when you look at our clips, you'll hear laughter really well because we're blending all those laugh tracks together, all that audio together to make it so you can hear it well. You can hear us through the mic. That's usually where you're getting our audio from. The background stuff is coming from the others, from all 3 of the other cameras. One camera, the back camera that shoots straight on, doesn't pick up as well, but we have a microphone that sits behind us on the on the stage or somewhere behind us that picks up audience audio and stuff.
Okay.
It's been a lot because we just added that, I don't know, 2 months ago. And so it took me a little while to figure it out.
Makes a big difference in the final output?
I do. Yeah, I do. 100% do.
It's amazing how good clips sound when you have multiple audience mics and the comedian mic versus just like a camera's microphone that's pretty far away.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like when I listen to myself, I'm like, I'm ready to tape an album. This sounds amazing. It's like in stereo and it sounds great. If you're in the right room and there's enough tickets sold.
Well, the good thing is that we can make any room feel like it's a packed room, even if it's like a smaller room. Like the show that you came on to, we were told they were, we were on track to sell tickets, and then all of a sudden it dropped off about 4 to 5 days before the show. And we could not figure it out until the night of, when everyone's saying, "Oh, the Avalanche has their finals game." I think it was the Nuggets had their finals game. So people stopped buying tickets because they were more interested in the games, which is fine. Right. But if we had known that, we would have been better prepared, because we're like, what are we doing? What are we doing wrong? And it just happened to be timing of other events can throw off your
sports can be a killer. I'm scheduling shows right now for September, and I had to Google when the start of the NFL season was, and it's very early in September. So it's a long run, and the Thursday and the Sunday are going to have negative NFL consequences for sure.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And depending on where you're at, what part of the country, you could also be getting hockey stuff like there. You could be getting a lot of basketball, football, and baseball stuff. So baseball is a big one too.
In Nebraska, women's college volleyball is huge. And more than once, I've had a show struggle because of women's college volleyball. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, everybody's at home watching the volleyball. I guess they're very good.
I mean, good for them. That's the thing is, like, even when we were in Indiana, there was some of the final games going on for stuff. And the college sports, you have to be aware of that too. That's one of the hard parts about comedy is you can go, oh, it'll be late at night, everyone will be off work, no big deal. But no, you're competing with whatever's on TV right then. What if it, sports or whatever?
Yeah, sure.
So it was very interesting to just find out that, okay, this is what's happening.
So tell me about how we'll get back to setting up the showroom, et cetera. But talking about the clips, first off, where can people watching this right now maybe pull up a clip? And then tell me about the assembly process. Like, how long does it take to offload the SD cards and, edit in what kind of application for sound versus video, and then put it all together and output, and how many formats are you outputting? Talk me through all that.
So you can find any of my clips on at JD Creviston on Instagram. They're all there. I put some on YouTube Shorts too. There's some on Reddit if you go look. All of them do different. It's really weird what pops on one thing and what doesn't pop. Everything that we do, we all have little SD cards. I pull them out of after every show. I pull them out of the 2 out of the cameras and then 1 out of the audio device. I upload them and put them in a folder, and then I share them with Zane. I'll go and swap. We have like a little hard drive. We go and put it on there. For me, it takes about 3 hours in Premiere Pro to put together all the sound stuff, do all the audio things, and then make a clip. Make one clip. Takes me like 3 hours.
What about the second clip?
Probably another 2 hours.
From the same show. Okay.
Yeah, from the same show.
You cut an hour. And any clips are like what, 30 seconds long?
A minute to 30 seconds to a minute, maybe 1:30, maybe 2 minutes.
And do you select the content, or does Zane say, hey, that crowd work about Nebraska volleyball, that's the clip I want?
Sometimes, so this is for me. Sometimes he'll go, hey, you had a really good set, you should go watch it. And I think you have probably 1 or 2 clips from that set that you could clip out and do. And then and I'll say the same thing. I'm like, hey, that lady, I was watching the camera and that lady had a really good reaction to this joke. You should probably clip that joke out and use it. Oh,
so he's doing his clips.
Yeah, he does his own clips.
Okay. Do you know how long it takes him?
30 minutes. He's amazing at it.
Oh, he's good at it. Okay. Does he use the same software?
Yeah, he taught me Premiere Pro. He actually made me videos to show me how to use Premiere Pro and walk me through making clips. And he screen recorded all. You do this step, then you do this step.
That's incredible. Like, what a value for you. I have no idea what your pay structure is or how hard you're working. I'm sure it's a lot that you're doing. Yeah. But it sounds like you're learning a lot too.
This is probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in comedy. I've toured on the road with quite a few people. So I've gone with Darren Carter on the road. I was Craig Shoemaker's opener for a while. I've gone with David Studebaker, Paul Moonjean. I've opened for a bunch of different people. Preacher Lawson in LA. I've opened for a ton of people. But this experience has probably been the best comedy experience ever because I not only got practical how to run a show. I mean, and I was running shows. I've run shows in LA. But this is a whole different level of like learning how to book, learning how to communicate with these venues that are not anywhere near you. So it's all via phone and email, which adds a layer. If you're in Colorado or I'm in LA, I can probably go to the venue and talk to somebody and have that face to face. But if they're in Pennsylvania and I'm in LA, we're not having that. There's no face to face. It's just all email and phone. So that part of it and planning it. This is like planning war. Like you have so much planning you have to do to make these run smoothly that it's chaos.
So do you do the planning, like the flights and car rentals and hotels and routing?
So Zane does all that portion, but we go over it. Like, how would we like to fly? Where would we like to stay? What's our drive time like from this hotel to these venues? So what we do is he calls it like the spoken wheel style of flying in. So say we go to Georgia, we fly into Atlanta, we pick some place in a little bit outside of Atlanta, and we try to make our hotel where it's an hour to 2 hours to each venue and back. So we'll drive an hour to 2 hours there and an hour to 2 hours back. And that's what we try to do. We try to stay at one hotel. And that way we just kind of go in a circle around the area with, and we do it that way. That's the easiest way to do it. If we do a place.
Can I ask a question that
sure, yeah,
maybe other people are wondering? Why is that easier than going to a venue and staying in a hotel that's like, 10 minutes to half an hour away and then driving? It seems like extra driving, but less checkouts.
Yeah, less checkouts, less moving of gear, because you have to remember we bring all of our gear. So we're bringing.
Yeah, but you're bringing it to the shows anyways, right?
Yes, but
it's not like it's staying in the hotel.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So after you do a show, I don't know if you've ever had a hard time checking into a hotel at 1:00 in the morning, but it is terrible. Yeah. So we get done with the venue at 10:30, and then say we got to drive to the next area.
Yeah.
Even if it's 2 hours.
When I've done Midwest runs, right, which sounds like the closest to this, where I'm bouncing all around.
Yeah.
We usually, check into the hotel before the show, go to the show. We go back to the hotel. We're already checked in. And then the next morning we drive to the next hotel, check in, go to the show, come back,
Yeah. Yes.
But I know like some people just like to lay out in I've had girlfriends who are like, yeah, we can go on this vacation, but we can't switch hotels during the vacation. Yeah. So you got to lay out all. Do you have a lot of perfume bottles? Is that what's going on? You got to like.
No, what I like is we get a lot of like Residence Inn stuff. So I don't like to eat a lot of processed food on the road. I like to get like stuff ordered. So if I have a fridge and a kitchen, I can eat my own stuff and be happy that way. So that's one of the things he thinks of. But also, it's just easier to always have a home base to come back to. And that decompression ride after a show, right? If it went bad, then you got to like talk it out or whatever.
Sure.
If it went great, you're still on that high and you're getting back to things. So that's always good that we have those. I noticed that we are not worse, but we're more in a slump or more don't feel up to doing stand-up when we do change hotels too much as well. Okay. But when we have the same hotel we come back to, it's like, okay, it's kind of like that feeling like when you land in Colorado and you're like, oh, I get to go home now. It's kind of like that same feeling.
I kind of get that. I feel more rested when I'm staying in a hotel like a second night versus the brand new, you're figuring everything. Where's the bathroom? Where's the light switch? Where's the how do I get on the Wi-Fi, et cetera?
Exactly right. Yeah. And so it's a lot easier to just have that central.
I think that's so far the number one tip we've learned from you is if you're touring and you can use that hub and spoke strategy and stay at a single hotel.
It's so good. I mean, we did it in Atlanta and we were there during the Super Bowl and it was great because I get that Sunday, we had the Sunday off for Super Bowl Sunday. We knew we were going to sell shows.
Right.
So I just watched the game and I'm a big Eagles fan. So it was great. And it was just nice to have that hotel. I already had food that I had delivered. So I had I had planned to watch the game and it was just amazing. If we had to change hotels and had to figure all that stuff out on top of it, it would have been a very stressful weekend.
Right.
So the other tip would be if you are traveling like that, give yourself days off, right? We're going to be gone for 10 days, but we don't do shows on Monday and Tuesday.
That's so funny. Last week, I would have the opposite tip.
Really?
I did a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday run, and we had Sunday off, and it was the worst.
Why?
Partly because we were in a terrible hotel.
Okay.
Which I don't want to identify because they were like a client. But it was like we had nothing to do, and I felt like we were losing money, because like we tried to set up a show and it just didn't come together. And we could have made money that night, and you're away from home. And my feature had a family, and he's like all stressed out. I'm away from my family. I'm not doing anything right now.
Yeah.
But I can if you're doing 150 nights, that's maybe a little different. So maybe some days off would be appreciated.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we're setting up audio gear, video gear, all that stuff every time. We get to a venue around 5 o'clock. Doors open at 7 for VIP. Show starts at 8, and we're out of there around 10:30 or so, 10 to 10:30, somewhere in that time frame.
When I do my indie shows, I've similar. It's a long time.
It is. It's a long time. So that ability to kind of just go back and throw yourself into the room, you just bring up what gear you have from the show. I'm not worried about bringing up my because I bring a pillow, I bring my own blanket, I bring all my gear.
When you rent a car, are you renting like sedans, or are they like big SUVs for
big
all the
SUVs for all the gear? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So think of like our favorite is a Grand Wagoneer. It's a fantastic one. We can put everything in there, and that means if we need to get stuff shipped to us, like extra merch, or we broke something and we need to get an Amazon shipment or whatever it is, we have enough room for all that stuff. Honestly, if you wanted to, Zane could like sleep in the back while I'm driving if you wanted to, but he's not going to. But stuff like that, it's a little bit easier. And he'll actually never sleep when I'm driving at night. He always is the passenger. I always drive at night. We'll take turns driving during the day, but I'm always the night driver and stuff.
Okay.
So that's the other thing.
Interesting. Yeah. I will say on that day off, I spent like 7 hours on my computer, and I was amazed how much like just administrative stuff had piled up.
Exactly right. That's the thing.
I've been on the road. I think we've done 4 shows, 4 nights, a show each night,
Yeah.
And I was barely treading water with like emails and other stuff. And that day off did kind of help with that stuff.
That's the thing. The day off is 1, a way to reset yourself, but 2, also to catch up on admin stuff. And a lot of my stuff is for one of the things I do for Zane is I do a lot of pre-show logistics stuff. So I'm hooking them up with all the social media stuff they need. I'm hooking them up with all the logistics information they need. Then I'm following up with them. Hey, what do you need from me? Who's going to be there that day when I meet you? Please expect us at 5, like all these things. And then, so I'm trying to, on those days off, I'm catching up with shows that are maybe a month out, 2 months out, whatever it is, trying to make sure posters get sent, social media stuff gets sent. I have the right contact. I have all the right information, all those things. Yeah. And when I'm home, even when I'm home right now, today I had calls, I had emails I had to do. I had, we are on Eventbrite. So we have an email that goes out before every show that lets people know all the information about the show, if they can get food at the venue, all those things. And these are questions I have to ask to the venue to make sure everyone is ready to go when we get there.
So let me ask you about that workflow. Sure. If you're going to a brewery that Zane's worked before, do you have any access to the information from the last person that was like you? This kind of, have you ever seen The Devil Wears Prada or read that book?
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit like with the turnover of assistants and so is there any passing of information between people?
There is enough information, but I always like to double check things.
Of course.
And I always like to build that relationship with those people because I'm going to be there at the brewery, right? If the other person that we have that runs most of that stuff, that does the booking of the venues or gets those conversations started, he lives on the East Coast. He doesn't tour with us, but he has that first contact. And then, Zane and him go over what's going on. If we're going to do this venue, these are what the venue's asking for, this kind of stuff. We'll never do a venue where a venue asks us to pay to do the venue because we're doing breweries and our whole goal is for them to sell as much beer as possible. Yeah. And I've done the math. I've watched stuff and I've talked to them, general managers. We sell about 3 servings of beer per person in the audience per show. So they're going to get a good return, right? If you're talking to beers, $7, $8, you've got 3 beers per person that we're doing a show, and that's just average. They're making a lot of money that they wouldn't normally make on that show on that night, and if they have food, then food on top of that, they're also making money on that. So there's a lot of that. We're not asking for any of those things.
Right. So the show I went to, you were in a side room. Is that pretty typical? Or are you ever in like the main area and do they have to like close to the public?
Sometimes they do close to the public, and usually we try to get them to close at 5 so we can set up. We do usually say, hey, if you have a patio or a secondary area that people can come and drink on, we would love to allow them to come in and get drinks while we're setting up. They just can't be in the main area while we're setting up so that there's not issues or whatever. And then they go, great, that's amazing. And we've had some people push back on that, say, well, we don't want to close the tap room till right before the show. And it's like, well, it's difficult to do because we're still setting up.
Yeah, I've been involved in that. So you don't, like in my own venues, it's a pain in the butt.
It's such a pain.
Do you help find new venues, or is that somebody else's job?
I don't do that. No, that's. I mean, I have made recommendations outside of breweries, so comedy clubs or casinos or things like that, which is Zane's trying to get to next. I have made recommendations and I've said, here are names of people, and given it to the other person because I have too much on my plate. Right? Keep in mind, I'm doing stand up for Zane. I'm running the podcast, my own podcast. I'm running my own things. I do a lot of side freelance work, ghostwriting. I've written video games, speeches, screenplays, whatever. All those things. I have my own stuff that I can't, walk away from. Plus, I have other jobs that I do, some other odd jobs here and there for things. So I'm always doing stuff. Yeah. What I would like to do is streamline everything at some point and figure out how to like make my life easier so I can focus on one specific thing in stand-up or in comedy, and do that and make money that way. So
real quick, I just want to remind anybody who's watching online live right now. Oh, there we go. Look at that you can ask questions. So let's see. Here we go. We got one from North Carolina here. Is your professionalism standard at your level, or do you get compliments on your communication and having a well-oiled machine? And I think he means your whole operation, not just JD specifically, but maybe JD, because JD is very well organized. So you can answer for both.
Yeah. So for me, my background is customer service. I've done customer service since I got out of the military. I've been the vice president of customer service for companies, startups and stuff. So I have to know how to communicate. I do get compliments, and we do get compliments on, wow, you guys turned this into an amazing comedy club in 2 hours. Our worst one was we forgot a time zone shift in Indiana.
I've had that happen to me. Oh my goodness.
And so we got there and we only had 32 minutes from the time we got there. We thought we had an hour and a half. We had 32 minutes to get everything set up to open the doors at 7:00. And honestly, so I don't know if you guys can see this on my phone or not. I have a checklist that I have to go through every single day to do all Zane's stuff for everything that we do for the show. So this is what I have to do every single show. And people are like, you guys are amazing. I've never seen anybody do anything like that before. So we constantly get told how amazing we are. People love us. They invite us back. We've never not been invited back. Even venues that we kind of had butted heads with at the beginning where they were like, no, we don't want to close. No, we don't want to do this. Or, if we don't sell enough food or beer, we don't want you here anymore. Those venues afterwards will be like, oh my gosh, you are amazing. And we would love to have you back. And sometimes we go, yeah, we'll come back. Sometimes we go, we're never coming back. We don't say that to them, but we're never coming
back. Random question: chairs. Well, what do you ask? Like how many seats there are to know how many tickets to sell? Okay.
Yep, exactly. A lot of it, especially in the Midwest and the South, is based on fire code. So they may have all the chairs, but they may say, "Hey, our fire code is only 172." And you go, okay. And then you get to the venue, like, man, we can fit 300 people in here if they didn't cap us because of the fire code, but they're so scared of fire code that they won't go over. So
that's a big number, 172. What's like the biggest show you've done in the 80 or so far?
281, something like that. Yeah. It was awesome.
Wild. There's a lot of money flowing around here. Holy cow.
And that one was a venue that we were excited to do. We got there, we sold out, we packed the walls. It was so packed, we couldn't film that night. And we only could record because there was no room for the tripod. Every single spot. And that venue, the guy who was running the venue that night was not nice to us, did not want to help us at all. But we sold that place out. It was packed wall to wall. And they didn't even say thank you for, I'm telling you, we sold so much for them. They weren't even nice to us afterwards. And we were like, that sucks because that was a great venue. But two, we sold that place out And people were like begging us to come back. And we were like, yeah, maybe we'll come back. When we left, we both got in the car. I'm like, we're never coming back here. Like,
right. Well, maybe down the road, because you got all their emails, right? You know?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we don't have a ton of time left. Let's transition into marketing. Like, how do you think I'm sure you've been to shows that did not sell well in the past. Mm-hmm. He is selling very well. What are some tips on putting butts in seats, especially away from you're going to fly 1,000 miles to a place you've never been to, sight unseen, but you're packing it out. How is that happening?
So the first thing we do is Zane is great at, he's a graphic designer by trade. So that's what he used to do. Even though he was a TV host and a bunch of stuff. So he makes posters and images for Instagram, Facebook, and then posters that we put up in the venue. We send every venue to 17 by 22 posters and 4 8.5 by 11-inch posters to every venue. That's cost us about $35 to do for every venue. Then
do you actually ship physical ones that you print locally, or okay? Because just a tip for you, what I've done at some remote places is I said, there's a FedEx Kinko's print shop 0.6 miles from you. It's under your name. It's available now. Just pick it up on your way to work. We've
had issues with that thing happening where they haven't got it. Like, oh, we haven't got around to it. So we use a company called Poster Ninja. Shout out to them. They've been amazing. We upload the stuff, we put the sizes in, how we want it, we ship it, and they ship it for us. Again, It's about $35 per venue.
Cool.
Then Zane has he runs Eventbrite ads.
Well, wait, I want to dig into that a little bit more. Do you ask them to send you pictures of the posters hung up? Have you ever had a situation where you arrive and the posters aren't up?
100%. We struggle with that because it's like if you ask them to send you pictures of it,
it seems like you don't trust them.
Yes, right. So you can kind of cause friction there. Yeah. So we've kind of batted it back and forth. We have shown up at venues. Actually, a recent run, we showed up at a venue, not one poster up, and they go, "Hey, we got these posters. Should we put them up?" And we're like, "Why were they not up before? Like the day of doesn't help us at all." So that sucked. But also this last run, and we didn't know this either. It was all the graduations of colleges, high schools, elementaries, all that stuff during that week. So there was all these graduation parties going on. So people were not coming out to venues because they were going to graduation parties. Right. So that was a hard part. Where was that? So we do physical posters. Zane makes up stuff that goes on Eventbrite and Facebook ads. Then we also digitally send them images for Instagram as well as videos that they can put on their Instagram to promote. So we ask them to promote 4 times. So when it's announced, 1 week out, 2 days out, 1 day out. If they do those 4 things, we see that we have great interaction and great stuff. Sometimes Zane will also make a video when we land wherever we're at, because we found that if we make it in LA, guess who it goes to? People in LA. It's not going to people in other states. So Instagram geo tracks where you are and will put it out in the area that you're at. So that works.
Do venues ever push back on that 4 post thing?
No, because we send them a whole guide. Hey, these are the things.
Right, but I would think that like some venues just wouldn't want, that's not their style. Look, we only post once a month or.
Yeah. And we say, look, we understand that you may not want to post this, and we understand it may not fit your aesthetic, but if you want to, as soon as the event's over, you can delete all of that stuff from your Instagram.
Okay.
So we do tell them that. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm trying to think of what else. I try to post on Facebook groups. I've been trying to post on Reddit as well, and in the subreddits in the areas around where we're going. And really, it's mostly up to the venue and to word of mouth of people around. The good thing is Zane has one big email list from doing this for the last 5 years. And then he also has a huge fan base from all his shows, Drinking Made Easy, 3 Sheets, 4 Sheets, all that stuff. So he has a big fan base that he can reach. He has 200,000 followers on Instagram. So when he posts something, he gets a lot of feedback. He gets a lot of traction on it. So that's good as well. If it was me doing it by myself, right, I don't even have 1,000 because I haven't really focused on social media. That's not my thing. But now it's growing. Oh, and one of the things I do that I have been using to grow my Instagram. So if anybody's touring, and Mark does this too, is little stickers. You get little stickers made. You say, hey, if you follow me on Instagram, I'll give you a free sticker. Some people sell stickers, but I give them away for free. I figure the money that I invest there to have more followers is worth it for me.
Yeah. Do you think his followers, like which of all those things you mentioned, do you think are the most important?
I think a majority of his sales come from people who follow him. The second come from people who are at that brewery. And the third is people who are who find get Facebook ads, Instagram targeted ads, Eventbrite ads of comedy in their area. So those are the three that I think. I know that drives him nuts sometimes. He's like, I don't just want to target my followers, my fans, but I'm like, you have a good fan base. Use your fan base when you can. You then use the brewery's fan base. Then use randos who find you.
What's the logic in looking for a support act that doesn't drink? Is that around driving?
Yeah. So we do breweries, right?
Because just for anybody who doesn't know, like a big part of these comedy shows is drinking.
Yes.
Zane drinks on stage, special VIP event. He's chugging beers.
Yeah. Yeah. He's playing drinking games with them and stuff. So yes. So the big part of that was to make sure that I'm not drinking so I could drive us.
You're the DD.
Safe. Yeah, exactly. Designated driver. And so that was perfect because I did all my drinking in my 20s in the Navy. I drank way more than I ever should have. Enough for your life, my life, Zane's life, probably most people's lives, all combined together. So I don't need to do it anymore.
How are you doing on time?
Good. Dude, I'm down to stay as long as you want, bro.
All right, cool. Tell us about a venue that maybe went horribly wrong. Those are always the fun stories, things that went bad.
Trying to think of a venue that
or a show, something that just didn't quite click.
We've had shows where people were nice. Like if you're the nodding people, the people who are like, oh yeah, they don't really laugh, but then they come up afterwards like, oh my gosh, that was the most amazing show. It was so fun. I can't wait to see you guys again. And we're like, you didn't laugh. Like, here's the thing: we're filming this show. If you don't laugh, that's not a clip. We can't use those clips, Right. So that's the only kind of hard part. Again, having pushback when we get to a venue and they go, oh, if we don't sell stuff, or, oh, we thought you were going to have less people. We're like, we told you how many seats we wanted to have. And we told you what we wanted. And you said, okay. And the worst is when, and this is what's happened with that big venue that we were excited about, that we sold every seat in the entire building. They were grabbing seats from other places to fill this venue. We were communicating with one person at a different venue that was part of that company. Okay. We were not communicating with the person at that venue that was in charge of that venue. So they felt like their power was usurped and they pushed back and it caused just chaos for it. And it was for the first hour we were there, we didn't put anything up because it was just chaos of them pushing back. Like, no, we're not doing it this way. No, we're not doing it that way. No, we're not kicking people out. No, we're not whatever. And it was like, oh my gosh. So finally, by the time all that got resolved, we had an hour to set things up and we kept seeing ticket sales roll in. So we're like, we're not going to set up audio gear. We're going to set up a small merch table. We're going to set up all of our sound gear, and that is it. We don't care. We're going to sell every seat we possibly can. And we sold, I think it was 281, 282 tickets. And it was just amazing. And it was also an amazing show. That's the other part. I was so mad because if we would have filmed this show, we would have had some of the best video content we've ever
Here's
had.
a tip. I don't know if it would have worked for you there, but I've seen your setup. You got real beefy tripods. You got very expensive, fancy, heavy cameras. I have in some venues when I sell it out, there's nowhere to put a tripod. So I have these MacGyver kits. They're basically clamps with arms. And then sometimes I even use a different recording device that is less heavy. And just so I have something, because I've been in that situation. You sell out a show, you can't tape it. You're like, oh, why didn't I tape that one? That would have been so good. So
we have talked about it. It's not always possible. The thing is, we already bring the max amount of gear as possible. Every bag is 70 pounds. We have all that merch. We have all of our stuff. So it is tough.
Yeah, the flying with it is tough. I mean, honestly, you could, if you knew a week ahead of time it was going to be sold out, they could be disposable. You just buy the arm for $30 and you just leave it with the venue. We'll use this next year if it's still laying around.
Yeah.
But there's a little tip. Let's talk about, let's do a positive now. What was the best geographic region? Where you had the best string of shows? Where would you love to go
Pacific
back?
Northwest. Pacific Northwest was the best. With the best shows we
Big
had.
City or small town?
All small towns around outside of there. So we went all the way north in Oregon, all the way to the top. We did some in Washington.
Did you do Medford, Oregon, by any chance?
Medford, yep.
Yeah. Okay.
We did. We went all the way over to Tacoma, Washington. We did all that. We went over to Idaho, to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So we did a show there. Beautiful. And we did a ton of shows in Washington, ton of shows. Yelm, Washington. We did 2 back-to-back sold-out shows in this amazing venue, 507 Tap Room, one of the best places we've ever been. They don't here's the crazy thing. They don't normally do stand-up, and they don't normally do shows like that. We are the only group of people that they let come do shows because the guy who owns it is a huge fan of Zane and actually reached out to Zane to have him come do it. And so we always have good shows there. But all over Washington and Oregon was great. And we went all the way almost to Canada in Washington there. It was beautiful. And we had some of the best shows, some of the best crowds. It was amazing. One of my favorite runs we had. And again, it was just a run of like sell out. It was just like, all right, this is good. But then we did Colorado right after that, and it was not sell out. So it was a little bummer.
Colorado's tough, man, especially close to cities.
Yeah.
Like my bread and butter is an hour to 3 hours away from a major city. Yeah. Once I get close to a city, it's tough. It's hard to move tickets. Well, so would you say that you prefer a small town over a city?
Yeah, because you're the only game in town, right? You're the only people there. We tried to go to Wyoming, right? Was it Wyoming that's above Colorado? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we tried to go Cheyenne, and we tried to do it downtown, and it did not sell well. One, it was downtown Cheyenne, in a place that's not heavily foot trafficked, a place that doesn't have a lot of people coming in and out every day to see signs, and it just did not sell how we wanted. So that was a bummer. We thought about what's funny is we had two options in Wyoming. We have Cheyenne. We had someplace like an hour away from Cheyenne that was like smaller that we thought about doing. And we're like, well, will it really sell because it's an hour away and how many people actually live out there or whatever. We probably should have done the smaller place, to be honest.
That's a good lesson. Tell me about merch. Like how do you charge people? What do you sell? Do you run out every week, or like are you flying with it or shipping it to the venues, etc.?
So we have flown. We usually fly with a starter amount. If we're going to be out longer, like probably this 10 days, we're probably going to ship something if we need it. We sell three things. We sell monkeys, which is Zane's Monkey Pleplius, which is known for his show. It's something he's known for. It's also his clothing brand. We sell hats with the Pleplius logo. They look like this. So they have a little Pleplius logo on them. And then we sell shirts that are made for that tour. So this one's called the Another Round Tour. So we sell t-shirts that have that, and it has all the breweries on the back and then his logo and everything on the front. And Zane designs all that stuff. He designs the hats, he designs the shirts. That's what he does. So we do that. And when we run out, yes, we have had stuff shipped. When we did our 28-day run on the East Coast, we had to ship stuff there to up to Massachusetts to finish that run out and stuff. Wow. Yeah, that was long.
What's the longest stretch you've done shows every single night?
That 28-day run, we did shows 25 out of the 28 days.
Wow. Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you ever do other shows or mics or anything? You're in Boston. No, you're completely consumed.
Yeah. We just don't have time. I mean, as much as we'd like to.
Oh, and I guess you're sharing the car with.
Yeah. Sharing a car. Also, if I want to try something, say I want to try a joke, I could try it that night.
Right. You're getting plenty of stage time.
Yeah.
So it's more about networking. When you're in a different city, you might want to go back on your own someday and headline or meet some local comics. Is it unusual that I had that guest spot on your show?
Yes. We've only ever had one. But we ever had two other guest spots.
Put that in the resume, everybody. Listen how special I am.
You are special. And actually, to be fair, you're the only one that was recommended by me. The other ones were people that either the brewery said, hey, we have a comedian.
Well, that might not be so good, JD.
No, it was good.
Also the last one that got recommended by you.
No. Hey, it was fine. It was nothing about what you did. James was like,
wow, I had a great time.
Yeah, and he said you did great. So there was no big deal. The other two were either comedians that ran shows at the brewery, so they wanted to come do it, or someone that was related to the brewery that was the brewery said, hey, this person going to come, can they come and open and do 5 minutes? And so in order to acquiesce and be kind, build that goodwill, we go, sure.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we can't recover from. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. That's not going to ruin the show. So it's fine.
Speaking of people who run shows at venues you're going to, do you ever get friction around like somebody saying you're poaching a venue kind of thing? Like, who are you? Why are you here?
No, I've never. I mean, to be fair, all that logistical stuff goes before I ever touch any of those things. So if that happened, it probably happened earlier. We're like, hey, we have a comedian that comes every month, and you'd have to talk to him first before we can let you come and do the show. That probably at that point, we probably go, it's not worth it because we don't want to step on anyone's toes. But
Right.
some venues have like some people, the what we run into is they're a comedian who runs like a trivia nights or something else. They're not doing comedy shows there. They're doing
Right.
some other event, but they're a comedian. I put that in quotations because they're not really a comedian, but they're a comedian who runs those shows. So that's what we're up against.
Right. How much stage time are you getting a night?
Anywhere from I started at like 10, and
Okay.
then now I've been doing 15 to 18, and the goal is to do 25. And so what I want to do is get a good 25 set in and recorded, and then I can submit that to Dry Bar and get that moving forward. So, and I talked to Zane about it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's fine. We'll make it work. Don't worry about it."
How what section of the year do these 150 nights fit into? Like, it sounds like July is taken off. Is this like January to December with a hole for July?
Yeah. We both kind of needed a break. We were gonna book stuff for July, but also a lot of people are out of town. You have July 4th to contend with. Yes, summer's hard.
Yeah.
So we start back again at the end of August. We have some local shows in SoCal in August in the beginning of it, but we go back officially like on the road at the end of August. Now the other thing is that Zane is trying to get into casinos and more comedy clubs, so we're working on that as well. We'll see if that pans out.
I wonder, you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but financially, I bet that would be worse. Just because
that's what we keep thinking about is like, is it financially better or worse?
I mean, if you can sell 200 tickets on your own, 99 out of 100 times, it's more money than a club or a room would pay you, be it in a casino or anywhere else.
So here's the thing about it. And you're right, because that's the same thing that Zane said. Here's the thing about it. If he's touring at breweries, he's not known in the comedy community as a comedian. He's doing breweries. He's not known in clubs. So in order to get him to the next level, which he has 3 stand-up specials out, but in order to get to the next level, he needs to be in the club, cruise, casino circuits with those other comedians who are doing those things. Clubs, and he's doing clubs here locally. So the Improv here and the Ice House here, he's on their rotation. So he's doing that when he's home. But he needs to get into the rotation of being on the more clubs, the Zanies and those kind of places, the Laugh Factories.
There's definitely some cachet to doing that. Like it's a feather in your cap. It's not necessarily dollars in your wallet, but maybe a mixture would make sense. And
so the goal is to do Thursday comedy club, Saturday or Friday, Saturday brewery where we make all the money, and Sunday maybe a comedy club too, or we fly home. So that way we're kind of mixing it up. And he's getting his majority of his revenue from the breweries because it's all us. We're making all that money, and then
and those club shows arguably are going to be more fun.
Yeah, dude, it's so less setup,
and especially for you because there's way less work.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I've done casino shows when I was with Craig. I did casino shows and comedy club shows. That's all he does. So all I had to do was set up merch and greet people after the show. That's literally it. Go up, do my set. Then I could relax for the 90 minutes that he performed. And then I could go out and meet people and sell merch. And that was game. End of story. It was super easy. Right. Yeah. So
do you guys do anything to collect cell phone numbers and try text like SMS marketing?
We probably could from all the stuff because we use Square Reader to do all of our stuff and we collect all those things. We probably could, but it's something that we just haven't done. It
doesn't sound like you need to really.
Yeah. We just do emails mostly.
Have you ever rented an event space that maybe didn't have alcohol or like a non-brewery?
I haven't, and I haven't been with Zane since we've done that. And we've had people. Where did I just talk? I just talked to a venue. And they were like, "Oh yeah, it's like $300 to $500 to rent the space on a Thursday or a Sunday to do shows." I think it was actually
very expensive.
I think it was a comedy club actually that was like, on our off nights, that we don't run our weekend shows, which is a Thursday or Sunday, you can get the room for $300 to $500 and then sell your own tickets, and whatever you make after that $300 to $500, you can keep. And we were both like, that doesn't seem like a deal because you get all the F&B and we are taking all the risk, really. I mean, you're not really taking the risk. No matter what, you get all the food and beverage. There's a 2-item minimum.
Yeah. I'm just thinking in some markets, you might go to a brewery, they have 60 seats, you sell it out 2 years in a row, you feel like you could sell 200 tickets. The brewery can't accommodate you. It might be worth renting a VFW hall or VFW hall would be different because they'd have alcohol.
Yeah.
But you find some kind, like, I've done shows at arts and crafts stores. I've done shows at barbecue restaurants. I've done shows
comic book shops, bookstores,
everywhere.
100%.
I just found the other day an ice cream store. This was yesterday.
Wow.
I was at an ice cream store and they had a performance space. I was like, have you ever done comedy here? And they were like, no, but we really want to. And I was like, here's a card. I'm your guy.
Get it, Mark. Get it.
It's so funny. I've had like a long time goal to perform at an ice cream store because there's a show in Brooklyn that it died, but it was at an ice cream shop. And
This is the one that died during COVID, right? It was the one that died during COVID.
Maybe. Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen pictures of that show, and everyone said it was super fun.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is Zane is known as the drinking guy. So
yes, exactly. So that is kind of a challenge.
Yeah.
Wow. What other questions should I ask? What else do you want to share?
I don't know. I mean, the big thing that for me is, and this may be something that people don't think about, is I am considered a clean comedian. I'm a clean comedian. Zane is not. So it's also that juxtaposition between the two of us on stage makes for a very fun show for people, right? Where I've had people come up afterwards and go, I didn't realize you were clean until like, I was like listening. I was like, oh, he didn't say any words. Like, that's great. And I'm like, yeah. And so if you're clean, don't feel like you're going to miss out on any opportunities either. It's a bonus because you're being different than the headliner. And also that juxtaposition works so well because if you're both saying the same things.
Do you think Zane prioritizes that in his support acts? Because a lot of headliners request people to work clean before them.
I don't think so. I know the other headliner he had for like 2 years before me wasn't clean. He was darker than Zane, and he had some material that was like way more difficult. And for an opener to be darker and more difficult than the headliner can make a show very difficult. Yeah. I learned early on, being mentored by other comedians, that, hey, if you're clean and you can do uplifting, fun jokes that are silly and not any of my material, it'll work better because then we have something to bounce on. And even if we overlap, like we do a little dad material, we do a little husband material or whatever, as long as it's not the same thing, we're not saying the same kind of punchlines, it'll perfectly work. So Zane does some marriage material. I do some marriage material, but they're not even the same vein because mine are tied in with kids and all that stuff. So this is a whole different kind of world to that.
Do you guys always fly in the same plane?
Yes. Yeah, we do.
So are you like banking miles and hotel points? And
well, not hotel points, but miles I do because I still have to put my code on. We've only flown American, by the way.
Okay. Shout out to American, I guess.
Yeah, they're great.
I'm a United guy. Shout out to United. Do you book the hotels in advance, or are you like a hotel tonight, last minute kind of?
So we have booked a hotel out ahead of time and had everything set if we're gonna do the hub and spoke. Sometimes if we know we had further stuff, like this last run that we had in the Philadelphia, with the Pennsylvania, New Jersey area, we had a couple that were like further outside of where we wanted to be. So we did have to book hotels night of or the day of for that stuff, but it was perfectly fine. So, I have, for Advantage miles, I have 101,949 Advantage miles since I started. Keep in mind, I started in January, so that's how far I've gone already.
That's incredible. You're gonna have great privileges next year, which will be awesome.
Exactly right. And then I also booked my stuff for Grand Cayman and San Francisco. Well, no, we're driving to San Francisco, but for Grand Cayman, I booked it all on American, so we'll get more points there too.
Yeah. So when I went on the road with this feature, it was his first time like on the road, and 6 nights, but like 3 to 4 nights in, he was cracking. He was like, I don't know how you do this. I'm going crazy. I can't wait to get home. He was having fun, but he was also like, I don't know. Do you have any tips on being away from home and just staying? Like, are you happy? 25 out of 28, you're doing a 28 night.
That was the hardest one. That was the hardest one where I was like halfway through it. I was like, dude, I'm ready to go home. Like when we got on the plane to fly to Boston from I think it was like Delaware or something, wherever we flew. Whenever we flew up there, I was like, I'm ready to go. If this plane was going to LA, I'd be so happy right now. Like that's how I was, because it's just a long run because we were already like 14 days in. And the longest I'd done before that was 10 days. And that's normally we do somewhere between 4 to 10 days. It's normal. That run was the longest one. And we both afterwards were like, we're never doing that again.
Yeah.
Next year, we're not doing that 28-day run. We'll do 14.
I find that 3 weekends back to back to back is my limit, and I'm pretty frazzled when I get back home. There's just too much mail piled up, and you got to go to like a laundromat in the middle of the run.
Yep.
It's too much.
It is because you go, oh my gosh, I've got to do all these things, and I still have to maintain all this stuff. So I text my kids. We have like a family group chat. I'll call my wife. We keep up, but being away from home does wear on everybody. A little bit. You just, and also being in your hotel room. Yeah, you could do the work, but then there are times where you're just like, what am I gonna do? Watch The Simpsons and Family Guy for 4 hours or whatever? Right. It's like, you're like, dude, this sucks, So, or watch a movie or whatever it is. Like, the good thing is, on some of those runs, shows were out that that I could watch. Like Hacks was out, or Last of Us, or stuff like that. So I could kind of binge watch shows if I wanted to, and that was okay. But it was just one of those things where, yeah, when you're on the road for that long, you're just like, man, I cannot wait to go home.
Yeah. How's your mental health out there, and how do you make it better and similar with physical fitness?
So I do push-ups and squats every day in the hotel. I do them here. The other thing is Zane likes to get 10,000 steps every day, so I've been trying to walk with him.
Okay.
There was a video. I don't know if you saw.
Talk that whole time? I mean, you're already in the car so much, or do you just put earbuds in and listen?
No, we talk, and he knows everything about nature, so he's like, oh, this is this and this is that or whatever. Yeah. And sometimes, like, actually, we did a Hershey, Pennsylvania. We got there early. The venue was great. We brought our gear because we're gonna move hotels. And he's like, let's go on a walk. So we walked 4 miles. I was dying, drenched in sweat. Luckily, the venue had a shower, so I could shower, change, whatever, get ready for the show. But during that time, we had been joking about something, and it was a silly joke. And then I was like, this is a smart, this is funny. This would make an excellent movie. And so we ended up talking about making this movie. So I've been outlining this film that we're writing based on this silly joke that we were harassing each other with. We're like, oh my gosh, this could be a real thing that happens or whatever. I won't give you any insight into it, but it's like a horror comedy, and I think it would be really good. So that we do that. Sometimes he's just giving me advice. Sometimes we're just talking about nature. Sometimes,
there's a lot of talking time.
There's a lot of talking time. Here's the thing: on the drives from the venue, we'll either talk about sets, or sometimes he'll play someone stand up. Like we listened to like Bert's set when it came out. We've listened to a bunch of different people's sets or whatever and stuff. Right. I made him listen to Louis C.K. is one of my favorites. I know that's a little controversial for some people, but I had
headlining huge venues. So.
Yeah, I had him listen to one of my favorite Louis C.K. albums and stuff because there's a joke. There's a joke that
sounds fun. Sounds like you guys are having a blast.
We do have fun. I mean, you have ups and downs. You have days where you get mad at each other, or you get stressed out, or we don't talk because we're angry at something. And we've had a couple of days. We've only ever had one time where it got super heated. And he was like, "Are you gonna quit?" And I was like, "If you keep talking to me like that, I am gonna quit." And we're at the venue, doors are opening in 10 minutes, and we're having this disagreement. And then I go, "I'm gonna step outside for a minute. You should go somewhere else too." And then we come back and I'm like, look, I'm sorry. I should have been so sensitive about that. I know what you meant. I took it personally. I'm very sorry. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to talk. And then we hug and it's fine. And we're back to normal. It's okay.
Incredible.
Yeah,
incredible. So you're going to do another 150 nights next year?
I don't know. I want to, but at the same time, it's so much work. It's so much. So I kind of feel like he needs a young pup to go with him next time. Yeah. I'm turning 44 this year. I'm not young anymore. I don't have that in me. I don't know. And that's the other thing is it's made me really think about what do I want in my comedy career? Because right, we all go, oh, I want to be famous. I want to travel and tour everywhere. I feel bad for people like Matt Rife and Chris Rock and I mean, yeah, they have all the money, but that travel wears on you, man. It just wears on you. It's so much. So Bert's smart because Bert takes a bus everywhere. And so he's smart that way. If I could do it that way where I could not have to fly because I hate the airport. Think about how many hours you're wasting going through all the airport stuff.
I drive a lot of places that don't make sense just because it's nice to have my car. I don't have to, there's a lot more flexibility. I can take my time on the way. And sometimes it's not that, even an 8-hour drive, if you take public transportation to the airport, and then you wait around, and then you take the flight and it gets delayed, and then you land and you got to wait for your luggage, and like it just takes forever. Sometimes you get there about the same amount of time if it's like a 6-8 hour drive.
Yeah, exactly. And you bought a Tesla, didn't you? Didn't you get a Tesla?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I thought you did. I thought you did. But if you have a Tesla, you could, and you have self-driving, the FSD is like, so that's what I have. And so it's easy for me.
We did take a Tesla on this latest run. The feature rented a Tesla, and it was so nice. Other than the charging was a bit of a hassle.
You know what though? It gives you a minute to walk around, stretch your legs, go grab a snack, go to the bathroom, that you would have done in a gas station anyways. So it's easier to. I like it because max. 20 to 80%. You're like 30 minutes or so, maybe 45 if you're like worst case scenario. So,
and you can go get some food and whatnot.
Yeah, relax and step out of the car, just kind of like get back out to the world for a few minutes and kind of reset yourself.
All right, let's wrap this up. What's the number one? What's the best like joke you've developed over 80 nights? Like that you're most excited about or improved? I
have a joke about turning 40 and getting a pickleball paddle for my birthday.
That's already funny.
It's super funny. And so I talk about playing pickleball. Most people that play pickleball are the average age of a pickleball player is 65.
Sure.
And the number one lady I play with, she's 82 years old. Her name's Gladys. She's like 5'3". She has silver curly hair, big glasses, and she smokes Virginia Slims while we play pickleball. And so I do the whole act out and stuff like that. It's fun. And that's actually.
I didn't even know they still sold Virginia Slims. That's incredible.
Yeah. But that's where the Fat Fonzie joke comes from. So that's the Fat Fonzie joke is part of that joke. She calls me Fat Fonzie in that joke. And it's based on a real lady that I do play pickleball with. I play pickleball with a bunch of old ladies near me. They're all amazing. They're all wonderful women. And they're all like older Jewish ladies. They're just amazing. They have like given me brisket recipes. They've offered me food, invited me to dinner, like all this. They're just amazing. So that was the joke that I'm so proud of. And I developed another joke recently about having low testosterone that gives me a crowd work moment, crowd work interaction. That is fun. And I can mess with this. It's one of those few times it's really hard to mess with women in the crowd because they can get very upset. Sure. But I talk about I have low testosterone and these are real. I'm like, these are real. They're B cups. And then I say to a woman, stop checking me out. I'm not meat and don't be jealous, whatever. And then they gets a big laugh or whatever. So that's fun. Like those building those moments, building those kind of things are always fun. And maybe I'll think of something while we're talking or we're driving, and I'll say, Zane, can you record this for me real fast? Or can you write this down? Can you email this to me? And we do vice versa. He'll go, hey, can you email this to me? And
it's really like, honestly, like that was a lot of fun when I was just on that road trip. And so like I helped this guy, Ronell, punch up some jokes, and he gave me some feedback on some stuff. And it's like, you hear the same material every night.
Yeah.
And sometimes like I'm part of writing groups as well. And sometimes it's easier to punch up other people's material because you like when you have it, there's like a muscle memory to it. And like, you're almost resistant to change. But when somebody hears it for the first time, they're like, oh yeah, I got a new angle for you. Like, why don't you talk about when that started or how that started? Or have you considered changing the store from a Target to a Sears? Cause that would be funnier because it's a long time ago or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's some of those things that happened with Zane and I, where he'd be like, hey, put it at this place.
Is there another Zane? Like, who else does this?
I don't know. I don't think so. There might be. Yeah.
Jeffrey Osmus, kind of, but he's at a little bit bigger level. He was doing this, a few years ago. Maybe actually, what's his name? Holy cow. So funny. Started in Minnesota, went to Portland, he was on this. We did an episode. Do you know who? All right, this will take a while to get to. Ronell and I invented a new podcast called Mark and Ronell Try to Remember Something, because we're both kind of old, and we have these conversations where we're trying to remember something. All right, do you have any idea who Jordan Jensen's opener is?
No, I don't. I actually don't know.
Let's see if I have. They both have the same first name. That's why I bring it up.
Oh, they're both named Jordan?
No, neither. But the kid. God, I can see him. Like, what is his name? Let me see if I put Jensen. No, I did not. I'm not going to be able to remember this kid's name. Anyways, there's another guy. He lived in his van and he drove around and did all these small breweries and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
But I can't. But he didn't do it like Zane does it exactly, because he didn't have like a support act. He didn't have all this filming equipment. He didn't have like one cool thing that I got to observe in person. So you guys have Pelican cases.
Yeah.
People out there don't know what Pelican cases are. You've never worked a trade show. They're very, very expensive things that are also used for like military equipment. Sometimes they're like, you can drop them off the Empire State Building and the stuff inside will be fine. And they have like special foam stuff usually. So everything fits in a specific cubby, and they're very durable. And I was super impressed with that. I thought that was so cool because I've looked into them and they're so expensive. And I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Well, Zane has it because he did all his shows back in the day when he was doing TV shows. He had gear that he would bring, and so he got those from that. So if you had to buy them now, because
does he have custom foam stuff inside, or is it just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, he's cut them out. So
there's this, what do you call? There's a special word for that, like pull and play or plug and push or
something like that. I don't know, but they're all set up already and stuff. One of the Pelicans we don't have anything in because that's where you put tripods and whatever, and they won't fit with the foam, so we had to take them out. But we, all that stuff we bring with us, every single time.
All right, I got the kid's name. It was Jake Velasquez. Shout out to Jake, who opens for Jordan Jensen. Jake Silberman is the super funny Silberman. If anybody wants to watch the Always Bookin Comedy, we actually talk about touring, sleeping in his van, all that stuff, and trying to break into New York City because he got like, I wouldn't say fed up with it, but he just like graduated to trying to move to New York City and become a day-to-day comedian in New York City. And he tried it twice. Like the first time he failed, he had to move home. And then he's in the middle of his second attempt when we have the conversation.
Let's go. I hope it works out for him. New York is hard. It's one of those places where, you can get up a bunch of times every day, every night. It's a lot, but you're also competing with a lot of people, just like LA. If it was me, and I tell people this all the time, if I had to start over, I would not start in LA. I would start Chicago or somewhere, Atlanta or Nashville, somewhere like that, where it's not as many people, and then work my way to
and
LA
maybe
or New York.
Denser. I can't stand how LA is so spread out.
That's the thing. That's also hard. But also, I'm competing against everybody who has a TV credit. They've been in one movie. They've been in a commercial, whatever. All those things. I have none of those credits, and it's hard.
Incredible. Thanks for sticking around, Mark. And Mark, good job sticking around because so I have this newsletter, and I haven't said what kind of electric vehicle I had. I've kept it kind of secret, but now Mark has that information in North Carolina.
Sorry.
So there you go. Your patience has paid off, Mark. Pick and pluck is what those things are called. I was close. Push and pull, something like that. Plug and play. All right.
I only knew because I have a Tesla, and I talked to Mark about it, and I was very excited that he.
Well, let's not say that word again, or else it'll become one of the keywords this episode. I don't want people to search for it.
Sorry.
It's okay. Long live the Subaru that finally.
I know. You know what though? If Subaru made an electric vehicle, I think that would be awesome. But they're not. They're probably not going to for another 5 years.
I'll tell you, I sometimes I miss a gas car. There are routes that you have to take, and just if you have to do 12 hours in a day, that then turns into like 15 with the charging time. It's brutal to have to get up 3 hours earlier, and
it can be difficult, but. As I said, I think if you have the self-driving stuff done, it is such because we're
it does change your ability to be fresh on stage that night for sure over a gas car that you have to pay attention more. I am driving all the way to I think North Carolina is the farthest east I'll be. I was going to go all the way to the Baltimore area, but in a month, so I'm going out and back. So that will be the longest trip I've done with an electric vehicle, and we'll see how it.
I'm excited to hear how it goes. I can't wait to read your newsletter.
We had a problem on his last run. We didn't plan very well. I wasn't really in charge of planning, but wanted the supercharger to casino back to supercharger, not enough range. We had a 250-mile range, and it was 150 miles from supercharger to casino with no supercharger in between.
Oh wow!
And it's a story for another time, but it worked out. Obviously, I'm here now.
Yeah.
But Anyways, this was incredible, JD.
Thank you
What a
so
great
much for having me.
conversation. I learned so much. Stick around for a second. Shout out to Mark in North Carolina for the questions
Thanks,
and
Mark.
information. And everybody tune in every Monday. We do this. We always have somebody interesting. We're booked out into like September already. So it's really fun. And if you're a working comedian or you run a show or something like that, I'd love to have you as a guest. And maybe JD, you got some ideas for me we can talk about offline. And check out James' Clean Comedy podcast and pitch anything else you want to pitch, JD.
Just go check out ZaneLamprey.com and see if we're in your area. Come out and watch a show. You want to see how an amazing independent show is put together in a brewery and run really well. Come out to a show. If you want to hit me up, I can get you a ticket. So don't worry about it. You know,
awesome.
You're a comedian.
That's amazing. And what about your Instagram?
At JD Creviston.
Okay. Yeah. At JD Creviston, everybody. All right. We'll see you next time.